Today we're going to do the hungry caterpillar. But before we do so, should we say hello to everybody? Hello big bugs, give me a wave. Should we say hello to the busy bugs? Hello busy bugs. And hello to the baby bugs. Hello baby bugs. We're going to do the story of the very hungry caterpillar. Now we know this story, don't we? He gets very fat because he's very greedy. Shall we find out? In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf. There it is. One Sunday morning, the warm sun came up and pop! Out of the egg came a tiny and very hungry caterpillar. He started to look for some food. On Monday, he ate through one apple, but he was still hungry. On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry. On Wednesday, he ate through 1, 2, 3 plums, but he was still hungry. There he is, look. On Thursday, he ate through 4 strawberries, but he was still hungry. And how many oranges did he eat through? On Friday, he ate through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 oranges, but he was still hungry. And then on Saturday, he ate through 1 piece of chocolate cake, 1 ice cream cone, 1 pickle, 1 slice of Swiss cheese, 1 slice of salami, 1 lollipop, 1 piece of cherry pie, 1 sausage, 1 cupcake, and 1 slice of watermelon. But that night, he had a stomachache. Oh, look, he's very sad. He ate too much that day, didn't he? The next day was Sunday again. The caterpillar ate through 1 nice green leaf, and after that, he felt much better. But now he wasn't hungry anymore, and he wasn't a little caterpillar anymore. He was a big, fat caterpillar. He built a small house called a cocoon around himself. He stayed inside for more than 2 weeks. Then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon, pushed his way out, and he was a beautiful butterfly. There he is. So he grew and he became a butterfly. So that was the hungry caterpillar. We do like that story, don't we, everybody? So I thought we could do our Fireflies at Midnight, which is our poem, isn't it? It's our poetry book. And I thought the poem we could do today would be the butterfly one. And this particular type of butterfly is called a monarch butterfly because they have these orange and yellow markings with the black lines, and it makes them a monarch butterfly. So if we can listen out for the rhymes, let's see. Wait, I can wait for the fullness of wings, for the lift, for the flight. Wait, I can wait, a moment less, a moment more. I have waited much longer before. For the taste of the flower, for the feel, for the sight. Wait, I can wait, for the prize of the skies, for the gift of the air. Almost finished, almost there, almost ready to rise. So there were quite a few rhymes in that one, weren't there? We had, can't think of any. We had flight and sight and rise and skies. So they were all the rhymes, weren't they? So that was our poem. And finally, we've got our caterpillar butterfly. Now this story is about a little girl who is learning all about butterflies. So should we find out what she does? My father and my grandfather both like gardening very much. My grandfather used to grow stinging nettles. My father didn't. He said they were weeds and rooted them out. Why don't you get rid of your nettles? I asked my grandfather. Stinging nettles grow butterflies, he said. Go and look. I went and looked. I couldn't see any butterflies though. My grandfather turned one of the nettle leaves over to show me the bumps on the back. I didn't know what they were. Butterfly eggs, said my grandfather. What sort of butterflies? My grandfather peered closely at the bumps. Haven't got my specs on, he said, but they could be tortoise shells or peacocks. They both like nettles. If you keep an eye on them, you'll see when the caterpillars hatch out. When they crawl away? I asked. My grandfather straightened up and looked down at me. Humph, he said. You just keep watching. So I did. And it says here that nettles will sting you if you touch them, but they don't sting caterpillars. And their butterfly eggs are dome-shaped with little ridges, like this one. Each egg is about the size of the top of a pin. So if you ask your parents or your grown-ups to show you the top of a pin, it's very small. Most butterflies lay their eggs in ones and twos, moving from plant to plant. Peacock and tortoiseshell butterflies lay lots of eggs at once. Nothing happened at all for 2 days. It rained very hard on the second day, but the eggs were quite safe because they were stuck on. The next day there were lots and lots of little tiny caterpillars crawling on the nettle leaves. The eggs were papery and empty. I squashed some with my fingernail. The caterpillars eat their way out of their eggs when they're ready to hatch, and they stay together in a big crowd. They make a web of white silk between the stem of the plant and the leaves. It's like a tent. When they've eaten all the leaves nearby, they move on and make a new tent. My grandfather came over to see what I was doing. Ah, he said, peacock caterpillars. Do they eat cabbage? I asked. I'd seen caterpillars on cabbages. He shook his head. Caterpillars are fussy eaters. If you put a nettle-eating caterpillar on a cabbage, it'll set off to look for nettles. If it can't find any, it'll sit down and die rather than eat cabbage. Some of the caterpillars you see on cabbages are cabbage whites, and they do love cabbage. Orange-tip caterpillars eat lady's smock and garlic mustard. Sometimes they eat each other as well. Comma caterpillars, like these ones, enjoy hops the best, but sometimes they do make do with nettles. And peacock, small tortoiseshell and red admiral caterpillars all like nettles the best. I looked at my peacock caterpillars. They were all together in a little crowd, eating as fast as they could. Won't the birds eat them? I asked. Couldn't we cover them up? No need, said my grandfather. Caterpillars that don't hide away are really saying, I'm poisonous, keep off. And the birds know that. The caterpillars leave little droppings wherever they go, and as they get bigger, you can see their white spots more clearly. They don't mind which way up they eat, and they hardly ever stop eating, just like the hungry caterpillar. He pulled his pipe out of his pocket and very, very gently nudged one of the caterpillars. It curled itself up at once and fell off the leaf. There, he said, even if something does come along looking for a snack, the caterpillar might still escape. Can I make one curl up? I stuck my finger out. Don't touch them, my grandfather said. Some spiny caterpillars can give you a rash, and other kinds leave a nasty smell on your fingers. Ugh. Besides, you could hurt them as well. They leave velvety bodies and shiny heads, and they look at their spiny backs. They have 3 pairs of legs in front with little claws on them and stumpier legs further down. So that's where the caterpillars are. I went on watching the caterpillars. They were getting bigger. By the second Saturday in July, they had eaten nearly all the plant that they had hatched out on and were crawling over the other nettles. But some of them were lying completely still though, and not eating at all. All of a sudden, one of them gave a little wriggle, and its skin split right open. Inside was another brand new caterpillar, and it crawled out of the old skin as if it were crawling out of a sleeping bag. It looked quite fresh and clean, and it seemed to be bigger than before. All the other caterpillars changed skins too. I knew something must be eating my caterpillars because by now there weren't so many of them. I didn't mind that, but I did mind 5 days later when I found out that every single one of them had disappeared. Where have they gone? I asked. I was close to tears. Pea sticks, said my grandfather. We marched round the corner of the shed to where the pea sticks were. Sometimes 1 or 2 come here, my grandfather said. Ah, yes, here we are. Sure enough, there was one of the caterpillars hanging head downwards off a pea stick, and to my amazement, before my very eyes, its skin began to peel off from its head upwards and shriveled away. This time there wasn't another caterpillar ready to come out. Instead, there was something like a little soft brown bag hanging on the pea stick. It didn't have legs or eyes or anything, and it dried up into a little case. My grandfather said that was just what it was, but the proper name for it was a pupa. But where's the caterpillar gone? I asked. All the bits of caterpillar were inside the case, he said, and they were changing. When they're ready to pupate, the caterpillars leave their nettles. Each one of them finds a place to be on its own. It might be up a tree, it might be on a fence or a stick or a twig. And each caterpillar makes a tiny white pad, then attaches its back legs to it and hangs down upside down. Soon their skin peels off, leaving behind a beautiful pupa. It's green if it's on a leaf and brown if it's on a twig. That's interesting, isn't it? Just this once I was allowed to bring the stick with the little case on it into the kitchen. I watched for 10 whole days, and on the 10th day, the pupa went very, very dark. The next morning I was eating my breakfast when my grandfather suddenly said, "Look!" I rushed to see, and the case of the pupa had split open. Something was crawling out, but it didn't look like a butterfly. It was crumpled and it looked damp. It wasn't at all a pretty colour. "Oh, it must have gone wrong," I said, feeling very sad. Very gently, my grandfather lifted the stick and put it on the window ledge in the sunshine. The creature crawled slowly up the stick and stopped. Little by little, it began to stretch out. It was just like watching a flower unfolding itself, only it had wings instead of petals. The wings of the butterfly unfold as liquid is pumped into its veins. The wings have to dry for an hour or two before it can fly away. And the wings began to tremble and to shine in the sunlight, and then suddenly, there it was! A real butterfly, with spidery legs and its wings spread wide open. It was so lovely that I couldn't say anything at all. Then its wings fluttered off and it flew off into the garden, the very newest butterfly there. And here on this page it tells us all the different types of butterflies. So we've got some comma butterflies and a red admiral, the peacock. This one's pretty, this one's a large white. That's an orange tip, because it's got orange tips there. Another orange tip. Common blue, because he's got blue there. And common blue caterpillar, which is just there. Which is your favourite butterfly? Have a little look. Well, it's been lovely to see you again, everybody. And hopefully I will see you next week. Bye-bye.